Hello and welcome back. Now in this video we're ready to start implementing a footstep system, and in order to do that we need different surfaces to step on. Now we have lots of different assets thanks to the free assets that we downloaded from the marketplace. Now we're going to go ahead and drag in some assets here into this default map so that we can test this out by walking on different surfaces. So first we're going to need a metal type surface. Now thanks to the factory that we've downloaded from the marketplace, we have some metal surfaces. Now if you haven't downloaded the factory assets from the marketplace, then that's okay. You can work with placeholder meshes, but in order to follow along exactly, you're going to want the marketplace assets that we have in this video. So if you go to the marketplace tab in the Epic Games Launcher, you can go to the free tab and permanently free collection, and you should be able to find lots of different free assets. You do need enough space on your computer, but the factory I'm talking about is this factory environment collection. This is on the permanently free collection. If you have this, then you have access to the meshes that I'm about to show you. Now, if you have the factory, you can go down into the meshes folder here under content, and let's go ahead and just search in here for platform. And you'll see that we have some different metal platforms. Now we can go ahead and drag a couple of these in. Here's a SM platform 02. I'm going to drag that in and bring it up just a little bit. And now you'll see that we have this metal platform here. Now if we double click on SM platform 02, then we get the mesh editor. And if we click on collision and show simple collision, we'll see that it has a simple collision. So we will be able to collide with it in the world. So we're going to use this as a metal surface, and we can select it in the world here and hit the R key, and we can go ahead and scale this up a bit, and that way we'll have a little bit of room to run around on this platform, and we can test our footsteps on the platform. So let's drag it out just a little bit and scale it up a little, and that way we'll have a nice large platform to work with. So there's a metal surface. Now we're going to want other types of surfaces as well. So let's take a look in this meshes folder, and there are a couple of tile items as well. There's a shower wall. So if you type in shower, you'll see that there's shower wall 01 and shower room wall 09, as well as 08. These are what look like tile, so I can take a look. This is room wall 07. It's like an orange type material. Shower wall 01 is a gray with blue tiles sort of material. So let's go ahead and drag in one of these. I'm going to drag in shower wall 01, and we have a sort of tile wall. I'm going to move it and rotate it by 90 degrees so it's on the ground, and I'm going to actually make sure snapping is enabled before I do that. And now I have a sort of tile wall that I've set on the floor here. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this up by a bit and set this down over here next to our metal platform. So now we have metal, we have tile. Now I'm going to double click on this static mesh and click collision and show simple collision. That way we can see, it's a little hard to see on the screen, but you can see green outlines here that show that there's a primitive collision hull around this mesh. So we will get collision when we walk on this tile here. So that gives us metal, that gives us tile, but what about stone? For stone, I'm going to use the Paragon environment. So if you go to the marketplace, we downloaded this in the previous video, but I'm going to show you just one more time. Search for Paragon, and I believe you have to go to the third page or so. And in the third page, there's Paragon, Agora, and Monolith environment. And this contains lots of stones and a whole bunch of other props. Now to get to the stones in the Paragon assets, we're going to go to the Paragon props folder. And here in Paragon Props, I'm going to go to Monolith. And from Monolith, I'm going to click on Ruins. And in Ruins, there's a Meshes folder. And here we have a whole bunch of stone arches and different things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Jungle Arch 01A. Now let's just double click on this, and if you are loading this for the first time, it's going to take a little bit of time to load this. Some of these assets are sort of large files. So at first it's going to look like this. You can't see the material, and once it's loaded, we'll see some stone materials on here. Okay, so once they're finished loading, the arch should look like this. Now let's click on collision and show simple collision, and now we'll see that the arches have a very basic simple collision, and this will serve our purposes just fine. So let's go ahead and close out of that, and we'll drag in some jungle arches. Now let's drag this in, and what I'd like to do is hit the E key to rotate it by 90 degrees so that it's down into the ground like this a little bit, and I'm going to scale this up. So let's move it a bit and scale it up, and I'm going to scale it in both the X and Y directions, and with it scaled up, I'm going to duplicate it. So let's make a copy of this. And if you are unaware of how to duplicate, all you need to do is hold Alt and then either rotate it or translate it, and you'll create a copy. So I've created a copy. Let's go ahead and rotate this another 90 degrees like this, and that way I can bring it up and sort of just snap it here to the other one like that. And then I'm going to select both of these. So you can select one, shift and left click to select the other, and I'm going to hit E, hold Alt, and rotate by 180, and that gives me copies. And then I'll go ahead and move this, and that gives us a sort of stone little circle. We're going to put some water in here, so this is a bit of a artificial pond of sorts. Now we can put a plane right in here. Now there are lots of different planes, but we can find a plane by going into our Paragon Props and Ground and Meshes, and there's a static mesh plane 5x5. Now go ahead and drag that in, and let's lift it up just a bit, and then we'll scale this. So we'll go ahead and hit the R key, and we'll scale this out, and we can make sure it's roughly centered, and we'll scale this to the point where its edges are covered by the stone, and that way we won't see the edges of the plane like that. So we have a plane. Now we need a water material, and the Paragon Props folder has a water material. So in Paragon Props, go to Ground, Materials, and we have this MWaterFloor. And MWaterFloor has a couple of MWaterFloor instances created. Now we can check out these MWaterFloor instances. We can also create our own instances and set the properties for the material parameters on those instances. But let's take a look at MWaterFloor inst. Let's just select our new static mesh plane 5x5, and for its material, let's drag MWaterFloor inst onto that material here. Now, as soon as you click on this, it's going to start loading, so don't be worried that you've frozen up Unreal Engine or anything like that. It's just that these materials have quite a bit of assets to load, so yeah, don't worry about that. Just give it a few minutes, and once it's done, then you should be able to click and drag no problem. So I've clicked and dragged MWaterFloor inst, and this gives us a sort of water-looking material, and it's a bit blue, but there's also MWaterFloor inst 1, which is a bit more murky. And if we click and drag this, then we get a bit of a murkier water, and there's actually some what look like stones on the inside of it. So that looks pretty cool. So I'm going to use mWaterFloor Inst 1 because I like that a bit more. Now, if you want to, you can double click and open this material instance. And now you'll see all these material parameters that if you want to override, you can click on the checkbox next to them and change their values. Now, I recommend if you're going to go in and change the values of a material instance that you make a duplicate. So you can right click, you can duplicate. Now we have mWaterFloor Inst 2. And if we want to take mWaterFloor Inst 2 and alter its properties, we can. So for example, if we scroll down to the water section, then we have a bunch of different parameters that we can change here. There's a stones tint here for underwater. We can check that and override the color for stones tint. If you want it to be a little bit brighter, for example, you can make the color brighter and click OK. And now if we take mWaterFloor Inst 2 and apply that to our pool, then we should be able to see a little bit of a change in those stones. So that's something you can do optionally as well. But now we have a nice little pool with water inside. So now we have a metal surface, we have a tile surface, and we have stone as well as a pool. Now I'd like a bit more stone so that way we can have more stone to walk on in addition to this pool that we can splash in. So we're going to go into the Paragon props / monolith / ruins / meshes, and we're going to find a bit more stone that we can place next to our pool here. Now there are lots of choices here, so I'm just going to select one. Here's a jungle pillar block piece, combined C. If I double click this, we'll see that it's just a nice looking block. And if we show simple collision, it has a basic cube surrounding it for its collision hull. So we're going to drag this in and just kind of scale it up a bit. And that way we have some more stone to walk on. So I'm going to go ahead and just, drag this next to our stone pool. And I'll just align it up next to the pool. And then I can sort of duplicate, get a couple of copies of this. So I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt and drag off of this. Select both, hold Alt, and now we'll have a few of these. Now this isn't really, level design or anything. It's just kind of setting up some footsteps for us to walk on. If you don't want this to look so contrived, we can, rotate some of these by 180 degrees. You can even go ahead and select one of these and rotate it, make it upside down, something like that. But now we have a bit of stone to walk on. We have lots of different assets to choose from in this assets pack. So, feel free to get creative and create your own level if you like. We can also go ahead and put some stairs. We have a bunch of staircases, but this gives us a bit more stone to walk on, okay? So now we have some stone, we have some water, we have tile, and we have metal, but I'd like to actually create some grass as well, or at least some sort of earthy material that will sound like grass. So we can go to our content folder and simply search for grass. See if any of these asset packages contain grass. Now I see a material called mground grass, and if I right click and show in folder view, we'll see that this is in the A surface footstep. That's the Niagara foot particle systems package. So we have some grass here that we can use. It looks like there's a leaves floor material as well. So why don't we go ahead and just drag in a plane. We can take this plane here that we use for water, and we can simply Alt drag and get a copy of this. And let's see what it looks like if we take our mground grass and simply drag it onto that. Looks like we get some grass. So we have a bit of grass here, and just to make this look a little bit nicer, we can simply select our 4 corners of the pool here, and we can shift select those, and I can Alt drag this out to the left, and now we have a bit of a frame for this grass. So we can take this plane and position it to the middle. And now we have some grass. Okay, so this will give us a few different surfaces that we can use to walk on. Now I'm going to take our metal platform here and I'm going to go ahead and simply drag it up next to the grass exhibit. And I'm going to hold Alt and drag so that we have two planes. And then I'll just select both of these, Alt, drag, and then now we have four. And then I'll do the same for our tile here. I'm just gonna drag the tile over and then I can copy this. So I'm gonna go ahead and Alt drag. And just to make this symmetrical, I'm gonna hit E, rotate by 180, and drag this up next to the other tile. And we'll go ahead and snap them together. And I'll select both, hit E, Alt, rotate by 180, and I'll move these down, and we have a nice set of four. And so, you know, it doesn't look perfect, but again, this is just to give us some test surfaces to walk on. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this by 90 as well, and move it over just a bit. Okay, that's going to look good enough. And this gives us several surfaces. We have metal, tile, stone, and water, as well as some grass. I'm going to take this grass and move it up just a bit. That looks good. Okay, so now we've set up this default map to have some surfaces. In the next video, let's get started working on an actual footstep system that will give us different sounds and different particle systems when we're walking on different surfaces. I'll see you in the next video.